So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at the dual legacy of the Japanese racehorse, Cesario.
A true legend.
Yeah.
Cesario conquered the physical demands of racing, and then she turned around and conquered the genetic roulette of breeding.
Let's unpack how she got there, because the hype around her as a foal was basically non-existent.
Oh, totally non-existent.
I mean, to understand how she changed the sport, we first have to look at how little the market valued her back in 2002.
Yeah, people really missed the mark.
They did. You look at the pedigree. She's by Special Week out of Kirov Premier, who brings that Sadler's Wells line. And on paper, I mean, that sounds solid.
You'd think so, yeah.
But when she was offered at the Carrot Farm Syndicate sale, she literally failed to fill all her available shares.
Investors just looked right past her.
Yeah, investors looked at her and passed. I'm trying to figure out the mechanism behind that blind spot. Like, was she physically unimposing, or was the market just deeply skeptical of Special Week's early stud record?
Well, it was really a combination of pedigree prejudice and early crop metrics.
Pedigree prejudice.
Yeah, so Special Week was a phenomenal racehorse, obviously, but his first crop of foals had hit the track and made a very, very modest impression.
Oh, so the buyers were already getting cold feet.
Exactly. The market is notoriously impatient. If a sire doesn't throw these precocious, explosive 2-year-olds immediately, investors pivot.
They just move on to the next shiny thing.
Right. And furthermore, bringing in Kirov Premier and that Sadler's Wells blood, it introduces a lot of stamina and European turf influence.
Which is a good thing, isn't it?
It is. But the Japanese syndicate buyers likely looked at that mix and assumed she would be heavy, like slow to mature and lacking the tactical speed necessary to win the classic mile races.
Ah, so they didn't see a prodigy at all.
No, they just saw a long-term project.
Which makes the origin of her name incredibly poetic, honestly. The syndicate gives her the name Cesario, pulled directly from Shakespeare's Twelfth Night.
Such a fitting name.
It really is. The heroine, Viola, disguises herself as a man named Cesario to navigate a world where she's totally underestimated and lacks power.
A perfect parallel.
Right. It's the perfect moniker for a filly carrying elite genetic potential that no one could visually identify at the sales ring. She's basically walking around with this hidden identity.
And that disguise dropped the moment Katsuhiko Sumi put her into training and Yuichi Fukunaga got in the irons.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Sumi is a master at developing late maturing bloodlines. He didn't rush her.
He let her develop at her own pace.
Exactly. And when she finally debuted, she didn't just win. She showcased this turn of foot that completely defied the stamina-heavy assumptions of her pedigree.
She proved them all wrong.
She rattled off 3 straight undefeated runs, culminating in a dominant performance in the Flower Cup.
Wow.
Yeah, in a matter of months, she went from an unsold syndicate afterthought to the overwhelming favorite for the Triple Tiara. Oh, the Okusho decision.
Yes. So the Okusho is the first leg of the filly's classic route. Cesario is the favorite. She's undefeated.
Right.
But her jockey, Fukunaga, has a prior commitment to ride another elite filly, Linecraft, in that exact same race.
Talk about bad timing.
Right. From an optimization standpoint, this looks like a disaster. You have a generational talent. Because Cesario enters the Okusho, makes this massive charging run from the back of the pack, but Linecraft, with Fukunaga aboard, holds her off.
It was so close.
Cesario loses by a single head. The undefeated record is gone. That has to be a brutal pill to swallow for the syndicate investors who eventually bought in.
Oh, definitely.
You have to wonder, like, if a single head bob the other way changes the entire trajectory of her career, does losing that finite game actually catalyze what happens next?
Well, that loss undeniably shifted the board.
How so?
Because Linecraft proved her brilliance at the mile distance in that race, which prompted her team to skip the grueling 2,400 meters of the Japanese Oaks and pivot to the NHK Mile Cup instead.
Oh, wow. So they went a totally different route.
Exactly. That singular decision cleared the path. With Linecraft out of the Oaks, Fukunaga was instantly freed up to reunite with Cesario.
The team is back together.
The chemistry was restored. But the challenge at the Oaks was entirely different. She wasn't facing Linecraft's early speed anymore.
Right. 2,400 meters is a long race.
It is. She was facing a tactical marathon against Air Messiah, who was being masterfully ridden by Yutaka Take.
Let's talk about the mechanics of that Oaks race. Because winning over 2,400 meters requires a totally different physiological output than the Okusho.
Completely different.
Right, so Yutaka Take has Air Messiah positioned perfectly, but Cesario unleashes a finishing kick that is just lethal.
When they turn for home, she isn't just accelerating.
What is she doing?
She is utilizing the stamina reserves inherited from that Sadler's Wells bloodline that investors initially scoffed at.
Oh, the irony is just too good.
Right. She catches Air Messiah in the final strides to win by a neck. It was an absolute masterclass in biomechanical efficiency.
And the ripple effects of that single neck victory are massive. It delivers the first Grade 1 victory for Special Week as a sire, instantly validating him.
Huge for his legacy.
And it also gives Carrot Farm their first Grade 1, completely transforming them from a syndicate trying to peddle shares into a major industry player.
It changed everything for them.
Now, you would assume after reclaiming her crown and winning a grueling classic, Sumi would map out a standard autumn campaign in Japan, right?
That would be the safe bet.
But no, instead he packs her up and ships her to Hollywood Park in California for the American Oaks.
Which was just a wild move at the time. Taking a 3-year-old Japanese filly to America for a turf Grade 1 in that era was incredibly ambitious.
Had it been done before?
Well, Dance in the Mood had attempted it the year prior. But Shamjia was going over with the explicit expectation of dominating.
A horse just experiences a 14-hour trauma, gets off the plane, and is asked to output maximum athletic effort against fully acclimated local champions.
Which is precisely why her performance at Hollywood Park is so legendary. She didn't just survive the trip, she thrived.
She dominated.
She really did. Fukunaga had her sitting beautifully throughout the race. As they approached the final turn, while the American jockeys were actively asking their mounts for effort, Fukunaga was practically statuesque.
He wasn't even moving.
Barely moving. She cruised to the lead on her own courage. And when he finally asked her to accelerate, the race was over in a matter of strides. She opened up a 4 lengths margin against elite international competition.
I can still hear the race caller's voice cracking when he yells, "Japanese superstar Cesario!"
Gives it chills.
It really does.
Yep.
It wasn't just a win, it was an absolute statement. And she shatters multiple records in the process. First Japanese-trained horse to win an American Grade 1 on turf.
Yep.
First Japanese-bred horse by a domestically standing stallion to win an overseas Grade 1. That detail about the domestically standing stallion is crucial, right?
Oh, absolutely vital.
It proves that the Japanese breeding industry wasn't just relying on imported, ready-made European superstars anymore. They were cultivating their own world-class bloodstock.
It was the ultimate proof of concept for the Japanese breeding program. Special Week stood in Japan. She was raised in Japan. Sumi trained her in Japan.
Everything was homegrown.
Exactly. Cesario kicked down the door and demonstrated that the domestic ecosystem could produce a horse capable of walking into an American Grade 1 and completely dismantling the field.
She paved the way.
She pioneered the international respect that Japanese horses command globally today.
Yeah.
But, the tragedy of the sport is how quickly that peak can vanish.
Yeah, the injuries.
Shortly after returning to Japan, physical issues emerged, and her athletic career was abruptly terminated at just 3 years old.
3 years old. 6 starts. 5 victories. 2 Grade 1 titles on 2 different continents.
It's incredible.
It is a terrifyingly brief resume, but it forces a pivot. She is sent to broodmare duty at Northern Farm. And this is where we have to talk about the genetics of breeding, because her second act is almost mathematically impossible.
He really defies logic.
It's one thing to be a great athlete. It is another thing entirely to pass that greatness on. Like, you might want the explosive speed of Special Week, but the genetic shuffle might hand you the heavy bone structure of a distant, slow ancestor instead.
Exactly. The meiosis process in thoroughbred breeding is ruthlessly unforgiving. Thousands of brilliant race mares retire to the breeding shed and never produce a single stakes winner.
Wow, really? Thousands of them?
Thousands, let alone an elite sire. Passing down the exact right combination of cardiovascular capacity, bone density, muscle twitch fibers, and competitive temperament, it's a lottery.
And yet, she hit the jackpot.
Repeatedly. Cesario defied those odds repeatedly. She didn't just produce good racehorses, she produced elite stallions that went on to shape the entire breed.
Well, let's look at the dynasty she built. First comes Epiphania.
Oh, what a horse.
He wins the Kika Show, takes down the Japan Cup, and immediately becomes one of Japan's premier stallions. Through him, Cesario is the grandmother to Daring Tact, who wins the undefeated Triple Tiara.
And F-Foria.
Right, F-Foria, Horse of the Year. She essentially stamped her own elite class directly onto the next 2 generations.
And honestly, Epiphania alone secures her legacy as a blue hen mare.
Right, she could have stopped there.
But then she produces Leon Deeds.
Another champion.
His racing career was cut short by injury, mirroring his mother's brief stint on the track, actually. But he transitions to the breeding shed and sires exceptional stamina influences like T.O. Royal and brilliant turf runners like Brady Veig.
So even with a short track career, he passes it on.
Exactly. She successfully crossed with completely different sire lines and still dictated the quality of the offspring.
And as if that wasn't enough to secure her statue at Northern Farm, she throws Saturnalia.
Yeah, the third one.
He goes out and wins the Satsuki Show undefeated and becomes one of the most highly rated colts of his generation. To produce 3 distinct elite stallions from one womb is a statistical anomaly that just breaks traditional breeding paradigms.
It really does. The bloodline becomes a pillar of the entire Japanese racing economy.
It's unbelievable.
Whenever you look at a major graded stakes race in Japan today, you are likely looking at the genetic echo of Cesario. But her story in the history books is forever tethered to her great rival, Linecraft.
Ah, right. Back to the Okasho rivalry.
Exactly. They only met on the track during that one spring campaign, but they revolutionized the sport in complementary ways.
How so?
Well, Linecraft validated the speed route, showing that brilliant fillies could stick to the mile and dominate the NHK Mile Cup.
And Cesario took the international route.
Right. Cesario proved that Japanese fillies could pack up, cross an ocean, and dismantle international fields.
It's the perfect duality. I mean, if Linecraft doesn't beat her by a single head in the Okasho, maybe Cesario's path doesn't diverge toward the Oaks and eventually America.
That's entirely possible.
They needed each other to push the boundaries of what was expected from that generation of horses.
They pushed each other to greatness.
They really did. Cesario's athletic window was only 6 races long. Trophies tarnish, and track records eventually get broken by faster surfaces and better nutrition. But bloodlines compound.
Yes, they do.
The legacy she built in the paddock at Northern Farm operates on an entirely different scale of greatness.
For a descendant of Epiphania, Leon Deeds or Saturnalia, they are cheering for the foundation Cesario laid. She shifted the paradigm from domestic participation to global domination, both on the track and in the breeding shed.
It fundamentally changes how we measure success. I mean, in the thoroughbred world, a legacy is meticulously documented in stud books and sales catalogs.
You could track it all on paper.
Right. You can trace a direct biological line from a Japan Cup victory today all the way back to a syndicate sale in 2002 where investors couldn't even see the potential standing right in front of them. It's quite the journey.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more.